Namaskar and welcome. My name is Rania Kapoor, and today we move from theory to real life. Behind every shop, startup, stall, and service is a person making daily money decisions, earning, spending, saving, and risking. This is Entrepreneurs of India, stories of starting small and surviving big. India is a nation of entrepreneurs. However, not all of them wear suits or raise funding. Many run kirana stores, salons, food businesses, tailoring units, tuition centers, factories, and online services. What connects them all is this question: how do you manage money when income is uncertain? Today, we speak to an entrepreneur to understand how they started, how they managed their earnings, what mistakes they made, and what they learned the hard way. For this episode, we're joined by Mr. Zachariah Jacob, an entrepreneur who's built and scaled ventures across hospitality, legal services, and now mobility landscape. Sir is here to share his experience with us. Today, we're going to talk about your journey. And is it possible if you can give the audience a quick introduction of Drively?
I'm Zachariah Jacob, basically from Kerala. Started off with a restaurant brand. So I also co-founded and run a restaurant brand called Mahabelly. And then I also started a law firm. It's called Actus Legal. And Drively is my third baby. Drively is also the recent baby. It's only been a few months. So I wanted to talk a little more about Drively, what exactly we do. So Drively, which stands for Drive Safely, is actually an platform. It's a smart mobility platform that connects car owners with trusted background verified drivers. And the best part is we do it under 20 minutes. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so think of us as a Zepto or a Blinkit for finding on-demand drivers.
So I want to ask you, do you think that when you thought of the idea of Drively, do you think it came out of any personal experience, or was it just by studying the market and creating a new service or product?
Sure. So, to answer your question, I think both, in fact. I also have two other co-founders, Vishwanathan Raju, who's based out of Bangalore, and Karthik N, who's based out of Chennai. So Karthik is somebody who has been, he's been having a car for the longest time, but hates driving. And he always used to depend on call drivers. And he got frustrated. So if you look at the current mobility landscape, I can also proudly with a lot of credibility say that there is a huge gap.
Yeah.
If you have your own car, you will end up hours stuck in traffic, driving yourself, either in the traffic or trying to find parking. And that's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Not to mention that there is no other stress in your life these days. So this is a easily solvable problem. And if you are depending on cabs for your daily mobility requirements, you are basically looking at surge pricing, last minute cancellations, and questionable hygiene. And the third option being that if you are rich enough to keep a full-time driver, then you are looking at a certain fixed salary cost, and you have to pay that even when your driver is sitting idle or playing cards. We felt that there's a huge gap, and Karthik, being somebody who found this problem to be real, told us about it. We did a bit of deep dive and realized that there is a huge market out there. So there is a huge gap in the mobility landscape, and we are here to solve that problem.
So you mentioned that you get car owners to trust your platform and you connect them with normal drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But was there any difficulty in making sure that people are like, oh my God, we should use this app, and the drivers who are providing the service, like, how did you juggle that?
Yeah, so that's actually been a bit of a problem, and thankfully for us, we are not the first mover. And what I have actually realized is, being a first mover, the advantage is only limited to the advantage is actually very limited.
Yeah.
So for what we have learned is, our predecessors or people who, there are a few organized players in the market already. Thanks to them, there is already some level of trust that has been built.
Yeah.
Because ultimately we also understand, for a car owner to trust a third party with his car, cars are usually very personal for people.
Yeah.
So there is a certain bit of trust that needs to be developed. And in our case, what we have done is we have made sure that the service element, I also come from a hospitality background, that we give extremely good service.
Good service,
So we make sure that all our drivers are background verified. They come in clean uniforms. They bring a disposable seat cover. The cars also, the drivers also bring an optional perfume sachet.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Yeah, and
That's so cool.
Yes. So that's also, I mean, it's all about the trust, the experience, the feel. And when the driver gives the car back to the customer, he makes sure that the steering wheels are cleaned and given back to the customer. So that is very fundamental to us, because ultimately we want the customers to trust us with their cars, with the drivers with their cars, and that's what we have been able to do. And at the same time, even with the customers, what we have seen is that habit building of the customer being able to make a booking through an app is also something that needs a bit of a push. Thanks to the other ride-hailing apps like Uber, Ola, there is some sort of a habit that has already been built. And we are also trying to make it as simple as possible for the customer. One other feature that we are working on is voice-based booking.
Oh, wow.
So this is going to be a multilingual voice booking kind of a feature, where you just, like especially for senior citizens and people who are not so tech savvy, you can just drop a voice note saying that you need a driver for so and so hours at so and so for so and so time, and this is your location. Then we are able to have a system where we are able to provide a driver.
You know, I can completely imagine my dadi using this voice thing, because dekha jaye to, you know, senior citizens and even like young children, not really, but senior citizens have a great problem in dealing with such technology. And at the rate technology is going with the rise of AI, things are just becoming more complicated.
Right.
So this will really make their lives easier.
Yes. In fact, I mean, one other interesting anecdote I can share is, for me also, like when I was young, every time when I used to, my college was in Delhi, and then every time I used to go home, the only thing I used to do, like every other friend of mine was taking an internship, for me going back is a time when my mother and my grandmother used to anticipate my arrival so that they can, for whatever trips that they wanted to do, I was the on-demand driver that point of time. So I've seen this firsthand, that how this problem can really solve, and making it as simple as possible, especially for senior citizens, mission that we have in mind.
That's amazing. And a little bit about your financial model. So we're keeping the service, so like we're keeping it affordable so that every common person can utilize this in their everyday lives. But then how are you guys making money?
So our model is actually based on two different revenue channels. One is there is a platform fee. So we charge a transparent 10% booking fee for every trip, and which the customer directly pays to us. The balance is paid to the driver. And secondly is, we are also rolling out a subscription model for the drivers. So we also want to make sure that the drivers are not in a position where they have to pay 25 to 30% commissions. So for drivers, it's a commission-free model. Once they are able to earn through the platform, they pay us a fixed monthly subscription. So this is a model which has been tested by a few platforms and seen a lot of success. And this is the same model that we are also replicating here.
That's amazing. And you know, you mentioned that that the big companies like Uber, Ola. So how do you differentiate what you've created from already existing such big platforms?
So big platforms like Uber and Ola has solved the transportation problem. We are trying to solve the driver problem. So where we see is that if you own a car, there is, I mean, the ownership is there, but there's a huge gap between ownership and convenience. So where what we are trying to unlock is a person who owns a car if he doesn't have to depend on a full-time driver, there is still an option to get an on-demand driver as and when you need it. Ultimately, for the customer, we are also like an Uber, but the difference being that the customer is able to enjoy the comfort of their own car. So that's where we come in.
So you mentioned that you also have a restaurant, Mahabelly, and you're also into legal services, which is through Actus Legal, and now you've gotten into the mobility landscape with Drively. So you've ventured across so many industries, and you've created tangible products. So do you feel that, what's one thing that you've learned, or like one common thing between all these industries that you feel like it's very important for an entrepreneur to know and be aware about?
See, I mean, one, I think it's also in my nature It's like I said, I mean, I studied physics first, then did law after
Yeah.
that. And then if you look at my Instagram bio, like, so I call myself Zach of all trades. So I like entrepreneurship is something that I'm very passionate about. I like solving real life problems.
Yeah.
And for me, especially with law, is because of my training. And I also realized, I mean, this is something that I enjoy. But at the same time, for me, food was passion. Like I like being somebody who's from Kerala in Delhi,
Yeah.
not realizing that there's a huge gap for this kind of a cuisine, and to satisfy my own personal craving, we ended up starting a restaurant brand. And then it's come to a stage where that I can't eat that food anymore because I see it so many like so often and on an everyday basis. For Drively is also my mission to solve a everyday problem, and which can be solved at scale. So again, the kind of businesses that I've done so far has been very traditional.
Yeah.
This is more of a tech business in the mobility space, which is something that has really excited me.
Yeah, so Drively is an AI powered app, right?
Yes.
I read the bio. So can you explain like the role that AI plays in this platform?
Yeah. First and foremost, I mean, like AI is not just a buzzword. And these days, I mean, people get confused because every person wants to have some sort of an AI layer.
Integration,
So that
yeah.
ultimately a platform like this needs investment. And AI is a word somehow the investors are kind of you are able to get their attention easily. But in our case, it's a layer that we are building. It's also
Yeah.
the invisible engine. Like I said, for us, introducing this whole aspect of multilingual voice-based bookings, the whole aspect of predictive, the driver locations, demand forecasting, making sure that there are better safety features,
Yeah.
making sure that the trip is being, that we are able to monitor the trip, and ensure that the driver trust scores are also created. Which kind of makes sure that the platform becomes
Yeah.
robust, and also we are able to build that trust with our stakeholders.
Yeah. The more we progress, it's really important that we keep up with the latest trends and the latest technology. So before you started all three of your businesses, what was one misconception about entrepreneurship that you had that after you created your three businesses have been crushed?
What I've realized is having an idea is just a small piece. Like even in Drively, initially for me also the perception was that this is a tech business.
Yeah.
And having a good app will automatically draw customers. But then, like I said, it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of work that goes behind the operational depth, making sure that the driver supply is good, making sure that we are able to run the engine so fast, because speed is also very important, the execution. All these different elements also need to come into play. Which means that having a great idea is not just enough.
Yeah.
Most startups fail actually not just because the idea is bad. It's also it depends on the operational discipline. How well are you? How well are you equipped to actually execute the ideas and make sure that you are able to scale effectively?
Amazing. So three businesses, three industries. Like every business has its ups and downs. And I think, everyone talks about the ups, but no one talks about the downs. So can you just share one experience or a couple of experiences where you've been in a position where you're like really contemplating about what has happened?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the entrepreneurship is also, again, I mean, there is a lot at stake.
Yeah.
You are not just building for yourself, you are also building for the ecosystem. And by ecosystem, I mean your employees, the people who depend on you, your investors, and also ultimately for the customers. And at any point in time, you cannot let down any of these stakeholders. So there's a lot at hand, and that pressure kind of takes a bit of a toll on you. And you also need to create that work-life balance. So there are moments when you also feel that there are a lot of other things that you're missing out in life.
Yeah.
And unlike a regular corporate job where there is stability, this is a path where there are too many factors.
And so many risks.
Yeah, too many risks and too
putting-
many things that you need to anticipate and work around. And sometimes we are humans, so we are not machines, so we are not equipped to handle so much of pressure and everything. So there are moments when you feel low, and then you need to build yourself, you need to come back. So that's a constant journey of entrepreneurship.
I think resilience is
Yes.
the perfect way to put it.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
you have to be courageous. You have to be resilient to all the problems around you, and you have to really tackle the problem head on.
Right.
So to young entrepreneurs watching, what is one skill you think is crucial to have?
I would say adaptability. So ultimately, whatever you are building, you need to listen to your customers.
Yeah.
Don't build because you think it's a good problem to address. Understand whether your customer actually needs it. And if they do, and if you see good validation, that's when you need to scale it up.
And also flexibility.
Yes.
So, being moldable.
Right.
Right.
Be willing to listen.
Yeah. What's the biggest risk that you've taken for any of your businesses?
Any of my business, I think the first business that I built, Mahabelly. I also have a co-founder, and both of us actually, I was 27 years old, he was 26 years old.
Wow.
And
my God.
Yes, we both were, working full time in comfortable jobs. But then we had reached a point where we thought we wanted to do something of our own. And then that point of time, I'm not kidding, the first time we actually was in a space where we had to negotiate with our landlords, which is a big developer. Both of us together hardly had 50,000-60,000 rupees in our bank account. And more than anything else, it was our resilience or our determination that we really need to build it. So it was, we didn't really think, when you don't have a backup option to fall upon, that's when the real character comes out. And for us, in retrospect, I would say, though I built other businesses, that first business that I built, leaving that cushy job and jumping into something like this, which led to a lot of uncertainty, I think that was a big, bold step. But then it's also been very rewarding. Now we have generated employment for more than 150 people.
Wow.
And that kind of satisfaction is something that you don't get anywhere else.
In corporate world,
Yes.
especially. So that's what I was reading your introduction. So first you studied at St. Stephen's College, where you studied physics.
Yes.
And now you're into entrepreneurship. Do you think that some moments, and law as well, so do you think that whatever you've learned when you were doing your undergraduate and then your postgrad have applied to the entrepreneurship world, and the barrier of the subjects are very different, right? But how did you break that?
I would say that physics is something that I was very passionate about in school.
Oh.
And then once I reached college, I realized that it was getting too abstract for me. And I could not really relate to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also helped me analyze problems. Especially when it comes to critical thinking, breaking down problems and finding solutions.
Yeah.
The approach kind of really helped me.
Yeah.
And post which I did law. So as a lawyer, your best gift or the skill that you really learn is to be in a position where you can stand on your feet wherever you are put in. So that also helped me develop an entrepreneurial mindset.
Nowadays, we often see that children come up with such bright ideas. Young entrepreneurs have intent, they have the focus, they have the clarity. But one thing that I think they don't have is funding. So what are your opinions on this? How do you deal with investors? Where do you find investors?
What I've learned is there is also a chicken and egg kind of a problem.
Yeah.
In the current investor landscape, the investors are also very wary in investing in just an idea. They want to see traction. And to develop traction, you also need to have some sort of a funding.
Yeah.
So ultimately, if you can tap into your personal connections, talk to people in your friends, family network, get enough fuel so that you can build an MVP. And these days, there are also some government schemes. There are a lot of startup enabling funds and infrastructure that is available out there. So if you can tap into those resources, get in touch with accelerators, incubators, see whether you can get some sort of a seed funding or an angel funding through which you are able to create a prototype or an MVP which is able to show some sort of attraction. to the market. You are able to show that okay, you don't just have an idea, but you are also in a position where you are able to execute it. And this is something which your potential customers also appreciate, and they would be in a position to scale it up. Once you are able to show that, then you are in a position to talk to potential investors, because ultimately it's come to a stage where unless you come from a certain pedigree, or if you are like a leader, like a senior, you were at a senior role at a leading startup, and then you are switching out and then opening your own startup, nobody is going to fund you. That's the ground reality. So for us also, I mean, funding is like, if you ask me, a lot of our time is actually spent on funding, which shouldn't be the case, but unfortunately that's how the ecosystem is operating now. So my best advice is tap into your the closest resources, talk to people, see if you can get some sort of a seed funding. With that, make the best result, make it a believable idea, something that people would see as investable. Once you are able to do it, then you will be able to attract external investors.
Okay, cool. So I think this comes under feasibility studies, right?
Yes.
So you see the technical feasibility, if we have the available technological resources and inputs to carry this project out. And then there's financial feasibility, if the funds are large enough and if the funds are adequate to carry out this project. And then is the economic feasibility, which is whether the business will be profitable or not.
Right.
What is one message that you'd want to give an entrepreneur watching?
I would say before you do anything, there are a lot of free resources out there. Do your research, do the groundwork, really understand the fundamentals of how does this business work, what are you trying to solve, whether this problem is worth solving, and how do you do it. And ultimately, there is a big support system out there. Don't feel that you're alone in this journey. Find help. In my case also, I was lucky enough to get 2 other co-founders who also had a similar wavelength and vision. And I would say for young entrepreneurs also, whoever wants to get in this business, get help, get the right resources, and be very confident and determined when you jump into something like this.
Thank you so much, sir. It was such an insightful lesson to hear about your journey. The future of India is being run by entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur in India does not wait for change, they create it. From struggle to scale, the Indian entrepreneur leads the way. Thank you for watching.